You were shocked. You got drafted. Most exciting time of your life. And your mama hit you with something that caused you to go. Say what?
But do NFL players look at NBA players and think, guaranteed contracts, they make money on their shoes?
Well, I think the fact of it is they have a much easier life. Let's just say that.
How are you doing financially?
I've been broke. I've been broke since '78. We don't have money. You think athletes have money?
You made a fortune during your football career.
No, dude. The people signing the check have a fortune.
Your mama asked you for $1 million. She said, I raised you. She asked you for a straight $1 million.
For $1 million, just like that.
Did you think it was like some cameras around that were pranking you or something?
It was, at first I thought it was a joke.
With the 2021 NFL Draft just passing, many players got the call of their lives, which made their childhood dream come true. Most of them are now the breadwinners of their family, and now their phone will never stop ringing. While for the other players, it was the longest 3 days of their life, and fell just short of hearing that phone ring. Now what is there left to do? Just sit back and imagine, being a 21-year-old fresh out of college, now you're the richest person in your family. For most guys blessed with that opportunity, grinded their whole life to reach that point. But for others, it got a little overwhelming getting asked for crazy amounts of money at a time while their main focus was supposed to be towards football and football only.
Your mama asked you for $1 million. She said, I raised you. She asked you for a straight $1 million.
For $1 million, just like that.
Believe it or not, family can become your biggest downfall when it comes to them asking for what's in your bank account. But what most family members don't know is that NFL players make less money than any other pro athlete. While being at the top of the list as the most popular sport in America, you would think NFL players would get paid as such, since they're playing the #1 watched sport. It is also at the top of the list as being one of the most physical demanding sports, being behind boxing, which seemed just about right. But I believe it should be before hockey, because football is literally you run as hard as you can and as fast as you can into another human doing the exact same thing. And in hockey, it's not really that bad. Well,
Flyers looking to goes wide.
Marlowe hammered! Line!
Eric Johnson to clear. Duchesne upended by Orlov.
never mind, I take that back. But while football is in the top 3 of those categories, you would expect players to get paid for the entertainment and physical demands that they're asked to perform week in and week out, right? But let's see what it's really like. Keep these 2 charts in mind. Now, the annual player salary in the top major sports in 2019 and 2020 was the NBA with $8.3 million, IPL with $5.3 million, MLB with $4 million, EPL with $3.9 million, and finally, NFL at $3.2 million. Granted, part of this has to do with the size of the rosters in each league. At 53 players, the NFL has the biggest roster, with MLB with 25 players, EPL at 25 players, IPL at 18 or 25 players, and the NBA at 15 players. It also has a lot to do with the players in the NFL not having a strong union. The NFL Players Association says that the average NFL player ends up with about $4 million in his career, which sounds like a lot of money, but you can't forget about taxes and other family expenses. Just this past draft, there were memes about Jalen Waddle, as he was called by the Dolphins and didn't celebrate with his family.
The Miami Dolphins select Jalen Waddle.
Joe Burrow gets reunited with his.
You see, the fans like it. The Dolphin fans like it. And I'm going to give them another reason to. Because
one meme saying, if y'all ain't getting was a person. Now, while that was a joke and he did actually celebrate with his family once he got called, it should be some truth to that, not giving all your money away. Because when it comes to the NFL and family needs, those 2 things do not match. Because peep this, Trent Richardson got a $20.5 million guaranteed contract as the 3rd overall pick by the Browns back in 2012, after a solid career at Alabama with 3,100 yards and 35 touchdowns. But a lot of that contract money went to greedy friends and family, who Trent now says is partially responsible for his career going bust. He said in an interview that people were so demanding of his money that he would be thinking about it during the games, looking up at the box where he paid for about 40 people to attend his games and thinking about how much money that would cost him. Within a 10-month span between January 2015 and October 2015, his family and friends spent about $1.6 million of his own money. His biggest problem was because he didn't know how to say no to them.
Biggest lesson was being able to say no.
The Browns traded Trent away after a year and even suggested to him to make his circle smaller, but he didn't listen.
I'm scared about you, Trent. It's like your heart's so big. you don't know how to say no.
And after a year with the Colts in 2014, he was unable to find himself on another NFL roster. Today, he is currently playing in the LFA, a Mexican-American football league, where the current salary cap is only about $57,000 US for an entire season. A huge turnaround from that $20 million back in 2012. But not only do NFL players get paid less, they also are the only out of the top 4 major sports not to have guaranteed contracts. When Texas Rangers Prince Fielder's career was cut short in 2016 due to a neck injury, the team and the team's insurance policy still to this day had to pay out the rest of that $106 million owed on the contract. And even for the no-names who are cut before their end of their contract will get paid their remaining amount. And that is simply not the case in the NFL. Many players get injured or cut in the league simply will not get paid for it. Just listen to what Brandon Copeland had to say about being cut during the middle of the week from the Ravens and not getting paid at all.
So at Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern is when your money is guaranteed for the week. I've been cut at 3:56 p.m. Eastern. Wow. Right?
Yeah. So you don't get paid?
Don't get paid. So when I was in Baltimore, they cut me on Wednesday morning because they were like, hey, we plan on bringing you back, you know, showing good faith. You're still waiting on that.
In the NFL, contracts are basically week-to-week deals with an annual salary divided by 17. And the player gets paid every week they're on the active roster. But if he gets cut mid-season, then he stops getting paid. There is an exception for players who are considered vets with more than 4 years in the league. Who is on the team's opening day roster? They are the ones that are guaranteed a full annual salary for the year, even if cut. But for the average career in the NFL being only 2.5 to 3 years, most players don't get that privilege.
Let's get right to it. We're gonna release you.
It's even very hard for star players to get fully guaranteed contracts. Legendary Chad Ochocinco knew that firsthand. While his peers and guys drafted around the time he was out buying expensive suits, Lambos, APs, and iced out necklaces, Chad will buy everything fake because he already was making a name for himself in the league and the ladies already knew who he was. So he was kinda finessing the system.
Is it true that you bought everything replica and it wasn't real? I say, yeah, there was no point because the women have already done their Googles.
For instance, on Hard Knocks, shopping at Claire's, my jewelry has always been fake. Rolexes, diamonds, everything is cubic zirconia because it all shines the same when the light hits it. If you already have money, there's no reason to buy anything real.
And if you don't believe him, look at how much this outfit cost him.
Jeans, right? Wrangler shirt. That's a George Classic quartz watch from Walmart, $8. Everyone, take your financial literacy classes from me. 20 years in and I'm still rich.
And that video clip was years after he retired. So you can see he is still going strong with his proper money management skills. However, players can negotiate their contracts be guaranteed against injury. If a player gets injured then cut as a result of his injury, he still gets paid. But if that isn't the case, then the team can cut him and only have to pay an injury settlement, which is almost always significantly lower than the salary. In the other Big Four sports, basketball, baseball, hockey, the contracts are guaranteed, regardless of the player's performance. The only exception if it's a player gets cut for violation of the team or league rules, not staying in shape and or etc. But what NFL players do have an advantage of is getting signing bonuses, which is guaranteed money, as they are earned upon signing the contract. These bonuses aren't always paid out full immediately, but players can expect that amount to appear in their bank accounts unless, for any reason, he violates team or league rules before all of it is paid out. Now, let's say the money issue is all handled. You took some financial literacy classes from Chad, and money-wise, you're all good. But there's one more thing. You never want to get too comfortable in the league. The NFL especially, because at any moment, you can get that call that changes your future forever.
This is Brian Gain. I'm in the Dolphins offices. I'm sorry to have to make this call, but the team's going to be releasing you this morning.
We're going to release you today.
Let's get right to it. We're gonna release you. But I do want to tell you that we appreciate everything you've done for us.
Got Vollard for you, Coach. Vollard.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You gotta be kidding me.
What?
I just will work my ass off. I know I can play.
But it's just part of the business, part of the journey. You know, try to get as many years as you can out of this thing.